Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we'll take a look at coal mines in Kentucky and how they have gradually declined. Plus, homeschooling in Kentucky is gaining popularity, causing officials to look for new ways to help parents.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6 a.m. on November 3rd. Now let's check in with Chief Forecaster Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this Friday morning. And Brandon, it's once again chilly, a little bit warmer than it was yesterday at this time, but I am excited for a warm up later today, that's for sure.
Through the weekend, so hang in there. We'll get there. It's just going to take us a little bit today. All right, let's see what's going on down the road in Whitesburg from here at the house. And you see not too much, maybe just a little patchy frost out there. It is 38 in Whitesburg, so maybe not too much here, but there are some spots out there that are in the 20s. Like, let's see, we got 23 over at Jonesville this morning, 24 at Clintwood. Who else is in the 20s? 25 Grundy, 26 Manchester, 28 Irvin, 27 Williamsburg, Middlesboro, and Jacksboro. And then basically everybody else is in the 30s with the exception of Jackson at 40 there. So again, keeping an eye on that. Temperatures will continue to drop just a little bit. We're trying to kind of hit the middle there. So 33 basically around 7 o'clock, give or take a degree or two. Now sunrise is basically at 8 o'clock today. Could be a little colder a little bit past 7 o'clock. Usually that's our coldest part of the day, but we're going to increase our temperatures real fast with the sunshine this afternoon, topping out in the low to mid 60s a little bit later today. Olivia?
Brandon, thank you. The number of coal mines in Kentucky is on the decline. The state's Division of Mine Safety data shows that in 2008, there were 625 licensed mines, including the one in Martin County. In 2023, there are just 129 in the state. Julia Sandor spoke to one expert in mining about what happens when abandoned mines are closed.
I coined a term one time in an article I wrote called "a mine is a terrible thing to waste."
Steve Gardner says the country was built on the backs of coal miners. But with coal mines on the decline, there can still be a purpose for the rich land.
If you look at the recent Kentucky initiatives, which I think they're calling higher ground, the housing developments that have been announced in recent months, they're all on reclaimed mine sites.
Whether it be for new housing, recreation, or industrial developments, these old mine sites can be reclaimed and become beneficial to the coal communities.
Kentucky received $74 million in infrastructure money to put toward reclaiming old mine sites. And those would be the sites that were mined prior to passage of SMCRA in 1977.
That federal law regulates the environmental effects of coal mining across the U.S. In eastern Kentucky, Gardner says that they face challenges when it comes to the mountains and terrains, but they continue to find new ways to use the sites.
None of them have really come to fruition yet, but there are a number being planned. And that's, in my opinion, a great use for those areas.
Gardner has worked around the mining and engineering industry since 1975 and says while mining has a reputation of being unsafe, over the years they've learned to make it safer.
Well, there have been so many changes, it's hard to focus on any one.
In Lexington, Julia Sandor, WKYT.
The governor's office has ordered flags at all state buildings be lowered at half staff today. That is to honor Regina Huffman, who served the Coon Creek Volunteer Fire Department. Huffman died in a crash last weekend. The flags will be lowered to half staff from sunrise until sunset. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet has announced the Owsley County Fiscal Court will receive nearly $35,000 in county road aid emergency funds. The funding will be used to repair a slide that occurred on Frost Branch Road. The USDA has announced nearly $250,000 in grants and loans is being awarded to Southwest Virginia. A loan of $174,000 along with a grant of $25,000 We'll be going to the Coburn-Norton-Wise Regional Water Treatment Authority for a dump truck. The City of Norton and Wise County Public Service Authority will also receive $25 grand each for law enforcement vehicles and a four-wheel drive sanitation vehicle. Congressman Al Rogers is joining Senate President Robert Stivers and other leaders to announce economic development projects coming to Manchester on Monday. They will be at the EKU Manchester campus at 11 a.m. to announce federal state funding for multiple economic projects. Officials say a new economic development opportunity will be unveiled by a private investor, announcing one of the most popular Kentucky industries coming to Manchester. Kentucky's homeschool enrollment is up 56% from 2017 and 2018 school year, and interest seemingly hasn't dropped off after a dramatic rise amid the pandemic. Jeremy Toms spoke with an official from the Kentucky Educational Development Corporation who were looking at how they can serve both the schools and students as this space continues to grow.
Stephanie Wilson has served as both a home educator and a public school teacher.
Being at home and being on lockdown had an effect on everyone, and it had a real effect on our students and our kids across the state.
So she saw the challenges that the pandemic brought on education firsthand.
I taught during COVID. I taught first grade. I taught first graders to read online, and it can be done. It wasn't easy, but it can be done.
Wilson isn't surprised to see the sharp rise in homeschooled children. In Pulaski County alone, the report says that number has gone up by 75% since 2017.
Across the board, what I'm hearing and what I saw after COVID was just a lack of engagement.
She knows that could have adverse effects on funding for school districts. But what's important is getting each student back to being as engaged and successful as possible.
We're just helping them bridge that gap. As a former homeschooler, I know how expensive high quality curriculums are.
As more and more families explore home education as an option, Wilson says their New Horizons Academy is working to connect them with the resources they need.
That they can continue their education. They get access to a free online curriculum that's high quality. There are certain situations that I know of right now that this is the only option for these kids, and it's an equity issue if they do not have access to something.
Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Wilson notes their academy isn't limited to full-time home education. They are also offering hybrid class options in the districts where this program is being piloted for students who may have to go to work or fulfill other obligations. She says the goal is to bring personalized learning to Kentuckians as best they can. Kentucky State Police are celebrating the promotion of several troopers and officers. 32 honorees are being promoted to leadership roles in KSP. All were promoted within the last year. Paul Blanton, the public affairs commander for KSP, says the new leaders bring a new perspective.
For the agency, it gives us a chance for new leadership to step forward at the post level as well as at the command level at headquarters, and it gives us an opportunity to promote someone that's been in the field.
Families were also at yesterday's promotion ceremony. Commander Blanton says they recognize the families' sacrifices as well. The reality competition show Buddy Games has wrapped up on CBS. The show pits 6 teams of 4 friends in various challenges that test strength, mental toughness, and the true bond of friendship. Lexington native Andrew Shade was one of the contestants. Shade says this opportunity was a way for him and his friends to reconnect.
Like most adults, you kind of move away and lose touch with your friends. This was like the perfect opportunity for us just to reconnect, go do the goofiest thing you could ever imagine. And it was just like reminded us of being younger together and like the fun things that we used to do. I feel like you're never too young or never too old to have adventures.
Shade and his team, Team Pride, finished in 3rd.
Coming up on 610 here on this Friday morning, and we are looking at downtown Hazard. Kind of a quiet and calm scene to start the day, but one thing you'll notice, it's cool out there this morning. Chilly in some spots, just cool in others. But again, jackets needed today. Triangle Park there. Going to temperatures this morning, we are looking at basically low 20s over toward Clintwood and Jonesville there this morning. And then you see mid-20s actually over to Clintwood and Grundy, and then all up to 40 there at Jackson this morning. So warmer than it has been, but still jacket weather as you head out the door. Looking ahead, sunny skies will continue thanks to a couple more days of high pressure. Above average temperatures this weekend, and we are tracking 2 possible systems next week that we'll tell you more about here in just a little bit. Olivia?
Thank you, Brandon, and thanks for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Middle East as more Americans flee Gaza.